Greetings of peace. Welcome to another edition of our health program here at ShuraTV. My name is Dr. Azar from Genesis Medical Center. I'm glad that you can attend and listen to this information that we have for you. We tend to cover a broad number of topics that are of interest to our viewers. Of late, today is we're at the end of June here, and summer has started. And last week we discussed the some summer things that could happen. Just a little quick recap was, dehydration. A lot of people are out in the sun. A lot of people go to picnics. There was things that we discussed like stings, as well as food storage in picnics, and making sure that you don't get any type of food poisoning or any type of injuries in the summer where people do lots of outdoor activities and things like that. We discussed all that. So please, if you missed it last week, please try to go on our YouTube channel and see it, and then please comment and I think we had a little bit of an internet issue there. Sorry about that. So yeah, so always comment, and if you have any questions, you can always have your questions set up in the comment section. We had a few people express interest in the topic of functional medicine. Nowadays, as you see with medicine, there's a lot of corporate medicine that's been the major player, especially in California. So we have companies like Kaiser and Providence Health and all these big players, big corporate players, taking over the medical space. Especially their huge hospital systems, and they bring everything into an HMO system where you're limited with the doctors that you can see, and you're going to them specifically, and you're not you don't have the freedom to pick the doctors that you want. But of course, it comes at a lower fee for you. So, the insurance system, as we know, has a lot of room for improvement. But in the meantime, we've had a lot of clients that are inquiring about different aspects of medicine. And a lot of our clients are kind of weary and fatigued by just going to the doctor and getting medication and taking the medication, and then the doctor adjusting it and then going back, and they feel like there's really nothing more that's happening to them with the physicians. And basically we get the complaint of, our doctor is just kind of medication managing and keeping us on a maintenance dose, and that's it. But lately, there's a science that has come out by the name of functional medicine. So functional medicine is something where people are looking at the root cause of the disease. So rather than covering the symptomatic manifestations of the disease, which are, you could get tingling in your hands, you could get pins and needles, you could get joint aches, things like this. They're trying to figure out what the root cause is and to come up with a comprehensive solution so that the root cause of that symptom, whatever it may be, can get taken care of. So this is something which is now known as functional medicine. I would say there's a gentleman at the Mayo Clinic, and his name is Dr. Mark Hyman. I follow him. He's pretty much one of the main gurus of functional medicine. He is a medical doctor, and he does focus on specifically the root causes of disease. And it's a good thing for us as consumers of medicine, or as people who go and seek treatment with doctors, to know the root cause of our problems. I mean, it's one thing to treat the symptom, which is, it could be anything: a headache, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, whatever it is. But it's another thing to really get at the root cause of disease and see what is the cause. The general consensus is that inflammation is the root cause of most disease. Now, that inflammation manifests itself in multiple ways. So your doctor should start looking at the root causes. And if they do have time and you're in a system where the doctor can spend time with you, you need to become that advocate for yourself, for your parents, for your children, so that you know exactly why this symptom is manifesting in your body and how to treat that symptom. But at the same time, not only have symptomatic treatment, but also see the root causes of that treatment. Now, the root causes of that symptom, I mean, it could be anything from, um, uh, genetics, it could be environmental, it could be a side effect from a medication you're taking, it could be some type of chronic disease that's underlying that hasn't been discovered. It could be some type of psychiatric issue that's manifesting in a physical way in your body. These things are very important to look into. Um, Typically, what we do is, you'll come in and you'll get a battery of tests, whether you're going to the ER or urgent care or your regular doctor. They regularly check your blood, do imaging to see that if there's anything abnormal. So, they set a base, and then if anything goes off the base, then they look into it to see what's wrong. Typically, that's a good approach, but more and more now, as things are getting complex in the medical field and people are coming with multiple symptoms and they have multiple issues, and then we have multiple environmental issues. I don't know if you heard, but um, there was an article out I saw that I think it was Subway or something, where they were checking the tuna and they said that it had no tuna DNA. They could not. Somebody went randomly into 60 Subway restaurants in the Southern California region, and they tested the tuna out. They took it to the laboratory and they tested the meat, and they saw that it had no DNA linked to fish. So these things are kind of troubling. We're eating, we don't know what we're consuming, and when corporations cook for us, it gets really questionable what we're eating, what we're doing, what we're consuming, and when that's questionable, then the nutrition becomes questionable. If the nutrition is questionable, what we're taking into our bodies, then of course the manifestation of that is going to be some type of pathology in our body. If we don't know what we're eating, or we don't know the quality of what we're eating, then most likely, and it's going to turn into something which is pathological in the body. So what we need to do is focus on the root, simple issues of lifestyle first. That's what functional medicine does. And the number one thing for lifestyle is to have a good, pure intake of food and drink. So your sources of food is where it starts, right? So your food has to be something which is pristine, good, clean. In the Muslim faith, they say that it should be halal and tayyib. Halal meaning permissible, tayyib meaning good and pure. So food should be, what you consume should be good and pure, which means that, we don't want them to have toxins in it. We don't want it to have fillers. We don't want it to have any type of chemicals and any type of substances which are not conducive to normal health, and over time will not cause disease. So that's something important to keep in mind, especially if you're responsible for feeding others, like children and elders in your family, and most importantly yourself. It's very important to be conscious and cognizant of what your intake of food is. The more pure, the less ingredients in a package, the better it is for you. Um, I tell my kids, nowadays there's a huge trend. Everyone likes these spicy chips and Cheetos and things like that. But I tell them to read the ingredient. If there's more than 4 or 5 ingredients, don't buy it, don't eat it, because there's a lot of chemicals and there's a lot of things, fillers and colors and things like that, that California state and the federal government have expressed that they do cause cancer in large amounts. So if your child or if you are eating these things and the dyes and things like that, they do have a detrimental effect at the end of the day on your well-being and on your health. So these root causes need to be looked at. That's the first thing that you need to look at is your intake of food and calories and what they are and what the quality is. It's very important. Some people, like to eat fruits and vegetables a lot, but at the same time, they're not paying attention to whether or not their fruits and vegetables are exposed to pesticides. And do they really wash their vegetables and fruits when they bring them home? Do they take time to really take care of them? Or do they get it at a farmer's market, maybe from an organic store that doesn't have pesticides, or maybe from a store that has less pesticides, more natural organic products, things like that you need to consider. Maybe it's a little bit more expensive, and so what we do is you go buy the more expensive quality foods, and you just simply buy less and consume less, which is, in the end of the day, good for you overall. Because here in the U.S., we're consuming way too much, above and beyond normal portions nowadays. So hopefully that trend will kind of reverse. But if you compare our portions of food and drink with, for example, Europe and Asia, um, a small here is probably close to a medium or large in Europe, if not large. And same thing with Asia. So the portions that we take of this food, whether it's quality food or low quality food, are in high amounts in terms of portions. So portion control is another thing that can control the issues of pathology, rearing its head at the end later on in your bodies. So that's important. So those are root causes that functional medicine looks at. And, the adage, let thy food be thy medicine, is very important, because if you have good food, if you have good quality food, and you're taking in a balanced amount, then you're getting all the nutrients and vitamins and things that your body needs to function properly. But if you're not, and you're always on the run and on the go, and you don't have time to just sit down and have a simple meal, then that causes stress in your body. And when you have stress, you have cortisol, you have the stress hormones that are releasing in your body. So your body really doesn't have that time to absorb and digest like it should. So it's very important to be mindful of that, and be mindful of what you're putting in your body in terms of food and drink. That's very important. Secondly, the other root cause that functional medicine looks at is the lifestyle in terms of activity. Activity is very important. Activity is something which the body, as biologically and evolutionary wise, we're used to. And now we have currently a lot of what we call in the Western world is a sedentary lifestyle, where we're mostly sitting behind desks or computers and in offices, and we don't do a lot of physical activity. So it becomes necessary now to make sure that we schedule that physical activity into our lives. A lot of people have these phones and these watches and Fitbits and all types of things where they try to track their steps and track their activities. And even the watch will tell you, hey, it's time to stand up and stretch. So these are good things, because we as human beings here living in this kind of sedentary lifestyles have forgotten the activity portion of life, where activity is very important. Before, people used to walk and bike and things like this, but nowadays that's at a very minimum, especially here, people that are busy with their work and things like that. So it's important to kind of schedule that lifestyle activity into your routine, so that it becomes part and parcel of your life. You can't just, be a couch potato and consume low quality food and have no activity and expect your health to be good. That's not going to happen. Having a good, healthy lifestyle and a good health is something that needs to be worked on. Just like people work on their careers, they work on their marriages, they work on their all aspects of your life. Your education. They want to get certain degrees. they have certain goals that they need to meet. You need to have goals for your health and well-being. It's very important, and functional medicine encourages that, especially if you look at these two components, which are monumental in terms of overall health and longevity of health, which is what you're putting into your body, and then your activity levels in terms of exercise and moving around and having tasks that you complete. It could be as simple as just walking. It doesn't have to be something where you're regimented and you have to go to the gym. You can get up and walk 30 minutes twice a day or every other day or whatever's comfortable for you. But the more you do it, the more you would want to do more activities. So it's a positive feedback system, which is great. It's good for your body. You get fresh air. Your mind gets to kind of check out of the electronics and all the issues that it has, and it gives you a little bit of time to rejuvenate, which is very important. I mean, that's clearly something that I think we're lacking in our lives today, and with the advent of this pandemic that was here, and hopefully it's winding down. Um, it did make us focus on certain activities that we slow down and really spend time with family, exercise, eat well, sleep well. Another factor is sleep. Sleep is very important when it comes to healthy living. That's another root cause of a lot of problems that people have in terms of their health. Sleep is very important. When you sleep, your body actually gets a chance to recharge. And if you're someone that rarely sleeps, then you're going to see manifestations of that in your health. Negative manifestations. Sleep is very important. You should be getting at least 6 to 8 hours, depending on what you do. And if you're adolescent or child, you should get 10 hours. It's very important for growth, for healthy maintenance of all your biological systems, whether it's your hormonal systems and your organ systems. It gives your own stem cells a chance to kind of rejuvenate and rest and reboot, and it's very important. It's very important. You can imagine your body like a computer. If you leave the computer on 24/7, it'll malfunction. It'll freeze up. But if you give it time and you rest it, then it'll optimally perform. That's very important to keep in mind. So these are things that functional medicine looks at, and fortunately, a lot of practitioners are now looking in this science and actually trying to take an approach from this view, from this optic of functional medicine, because it's something where the root causes are looked at, and symptomatic manifestations are treated, but alongside that, the root causes of disease are also treated, and that's very important. So if you're somewhere where you're experiencing that, your physician is just talking to you about your symptoms that you get, and they're not talking. For example, if I'm going into my physician's office and I have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and my physician is just addressing those things and saying, "Hey, your cholesterol is high and your blood pressure is high," and I'm obviously overweight, and my physician is not telling me, "Hey, how about you get on a diet and lose some weight so you can control these symptoms that are happening," then that's a problem. A lot of physicians nowadays don't try to advise on that level, but I think it's important because the health of the nation is at risk now. 66% of the population is now obese, so that's that is 2/3. So we need some type of regimen, some type of guidelines, and we need actively involved healthcare providers and practitioners to get involved with their clients and really uh, cause a change and to improve their health. That's very important. Um, Furthermore, I think when it comes to advocacy of your health, you're responsible for your health. Nobody else is going to do it for you. It's very important that you take charge of your health, your child's health, your parents' health. If they're kind of being, obtuse about it, or they're not taking care of themselves, it's important, to nip it in the bud and get in gear and do it. That's very, very important. And there's a lot of options out there. Your healthcare practitioners are there to help you. And the quicker you pay attention to your health, the quicker you pay attention to your lifestyle, the intake of the types of foods, what you're taking in terms of supplements and medications and all these, and then taking care of your environmental issues, things that you're, um, you know, uh, the less chemicals that we utilize, the better it is for us in the long term. Accumulation of chemicals and toxicity in our body is not good. Everyone knows this, and that's something where you can be mindful of. If you're mindful of it, then you'll make that change. But if you're not, and if you're just living in, by the status quo, then you're just kind of what we would call sleepwalking. You're alive, you're awake, but you're just kind of going through the motions of life. What functional medicine does is tries to wake people up and tell them, hey, look at the core systems in your life, the core systems for your health. What's going on? You fix the core so that the manifestation of the peripherals get better. So that's very important. The core is the main issue. Fix that, and then the symptoms will improve. That's very important. And the number one and number two things are your intake of food, what you put in your body, food and drink. And number two is your lifestyle in terms of activity levels. Activity levels are very important. And if you're not doing at least minimum 3 times a week some type of physical activity that gets your heart rate up and that clears your mind and gives you a break of things, then um, I personally encourage you to go ahead and try to do something simple as a walk. You can walk 30 minutes, every other day. That's awesome. If you can do that and start with that, that will make great changes for you and your health. And that's something to keep in mind. So, functional medicine, we're going to be covering different aspects of it as the show goes on weekly. Um, if you have any specific topics that you want covered, any specific issues, specific questions, please comment on the comment section, and we'll do topics to your interest and of your interest. That's very important for us to make sure that we cover topics that our viewers are interested in. That's very important. With functional medicine, it's a broad area, so we're going to kind of today we did the food and the importance of activity, and we'll tackle other aspects of it as we produce more shows for you guys weekly. And if you have questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact us. To please give us, some comments, and we'd love to hear from you. With that, I think I want to wish you a wonderful week and a healthy week. And we'll be with you again next week to discuss another topic, which we'll have a schedule out for you. And you can follow and like us. Thank you very much, and have a great week.